Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching me from around the world. Welcome to the Essay Show. My name is Seun Akinlotan. I'll be your host and your moderator for today. We're talking about overcoming rejection and moving on from there. And we have a very special guest in our midst today. But before we get started, I'd like to give you a shout out. So if you're here and you can see me, you can hear my voice, please leave me your name and your location so I can give you some recognition today. I see some comments already, but I would still love if you could please leave your name and your location so I can give you a shout out. Hello, Lola De Lawal. Thank you for tuning in today. Oluwatosin Arodudu, thank you for tuning in. Tolulope Shoboyejo, thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you have not shared this video, you know how we do it. So go ahead and share with your friends, invite your family, because I believe that everyone would learn something today. Bolanle Olaleye from Lagos, thank you for tuning in. Ololade Anike from Rock City. Yes, shout out to the Rock City people. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Our guest today is none other than Mr. Richard Olaleye-Williams. I'm going to bring him on board and he's going to introduce himself shortly. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Hello.
Hello, Seun.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow, it's amazing. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation. It's such an honor and a privilege to have you on board. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm pumped up. I'm excited.
All right. I like the sound of that. So can we meet you, Mr. Richard? Could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Thank you very much. To some of my Nigerian friends, they're probably wondering, Richard, what? Isn't he Taiwo? So when did this Richard happen? Well, so just so you know, I used to be called Taiwo Olaleye, but then when I became a United States citizen back in 2011 or 12, I had the opportunity to change my name, and I felt it was right, to fulfill a lifelong, ambition, a desire. Ever since I was a child, always loved the name Richard. So always had a nice ring to it. And because King Richard of, the medieval times was, stout-hearted and, brave, I felt, why not? Yeah, Richard. And also, rich. Who doesn't want to be rich? So I said, Richard is it for me.
Richard. Okay.
Richard, yeah. So sometimes I go and say Richie Rich. I say Richie Rich.
Richie Rich. I like that.
Thank you. So I'm a proud father of 3 wonderful kids, and have an amazing wife who's the love of my life. We've been together for 19 years, and it's just been fun. Before I came to the United States, I was doing well in Nigeria. I mean, I rose to the top of my career in the IT industry, and I didn't know I would be here today. But as God, God has His ways. We have our ways. So this when you think you've seen it all, you know it all. God decides, you're ready for the next stage in your career, and God moves you. So I came to the United States from Nigeria. Didn't know my left from my right. Didn't know what to expect. I just felt I was just responding to a higher calling to come and be what God wants me to be here. So that's and it's been very interesting, to say the least. Very interesting.
Wow. So you just woke up one day and decided to change your name to Richard. That's amazing. How many people do that?
It tells you the kind of person I am.
Richard.
It tells you the kind of person I am. I could be very.
I know you seem to be a very daring, courageous person.
I am a go-getter. How can I say I'm a go-getter? Yes, daring is the word. I love a dare. I love a good dare.
Wow, that's beautiful. Richard is actually a beautiful name. Even your other name is beautiful as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk a little bit about your childhood, because I know that you grew up in Nigeria and the road was not very smooth. So I want you to tell us a little bit, give us a little, insight into what your childhood was like and what are some of the memories that you hold dear to you from your childhood.
Sure, thank you. So I grew up in what you consider a middle-class family by Nigerian standards. My father was not, very rich, but he was just okay, and he took care of us. He provided for our needs. It was a large family. There was 7 kids, and then my dad adopted two of my cousins, so it was 11 people living in the house at a particular time. It was interesting. I was a bit of an oddball growing up. I was a misfit. What you call the black sheep of the family. I would go into all sorts of trouble. My parents, of course, giving headaches every now and then. Getting into fight with my elder brother. And one of my fondest memories, though a negative one, was when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I left the house, because I just felt I wanted to go to the market to buy something. I actually walked into my mom's room before then, and I found, something like a penny. It's actually 1 kobo, which is a small value of a penny, actually. And I took it, and you could say I stole it. So I took it and headed to the market, which was nearby. And so I approached this woman who was selling peanuts, groundnut, and I gave her the coin. And then, of course, she gave me a bag full of peanuts. No questions asked. And of course, I didn't complain. So I took the bag of peanuts and I decided to head back home. But then there was a problem. I was just in my underwear, in a pants, and no shirt on, no slippers, snot nose, just, So I decided, where should I hide this bag of peanuts? So I looked down and, of course, hid it in my pants. Got back home, and of course, my mom saw me, and she was staring at me curiously. It was like, this boy is 4 or 5 years old. How big can somebody grow overnight? So she reached down and pulled out the bag of peanuts. Gave me a spanking.
A bag of peanuts. Think of it. How old were you then?
I was about 4 or 5. I was an infant. 4 or 5.
4 or 5, and the groundnut seller didn't ask any questions. Just took the 1 kobo from you and sold you a bag of peanuts.
That just speaks to how negligent we can be as a society. I mean, you see a kid who doesn't know his left from his right, and you don't think you should stop him and ask, "Are you alone? Why are you unaccompanied? Who's with you? Where's your mom?" She didn't bother to ask. She was more interested in just making a profit, I guess, than even, make sure I was okay. I was doing the right thing. But
Wow. So what did your mom do when you got home?
Like I said, she gave me a good spanking. I know how.
Did you feel any sense of remorse? Can you remember?
As a kid, you're just thinking, you saw a stray coin and you decided to go to the market to just help yourself to some nice peanuts. I mean, who feels remorseful about that? No, but now, of course, I guess I could say I didn't know any better. And the fact was, what was the point being on the dresser? She should have tucked it in her purse or given the money. But I did that, and I no sense of shame then. But now, of course, you look back and say, nah, it wasn't the right thing to do. Wasn't.
Wow. So you talked about being the black sheep of the family when you were growing, in back in the days, and
Yeah.
you are one of 7 kids. And you also talked about being a deviant child while you were growing up. And now you're doing great for yourself. We're so proud of you. We're proud of the work that you're doing. So what specific deviant attitude did you display other than, just taking a coin here and there? What would you say?
How much time do you have?
What would you say is the reason for your deviance? Now that you are a grown adult and just reflecting back to those days, because we have a lot of parents on the line and they might be dealing with similar situations. So do you have tips for managing deviant children? Because this is a very delicate issue, and if parents don't handle it well, the children don't usually turn out well.
Okay, good question. We live in a fallen world. And so innate in each one of us is the desire and ability to do evil. So everybody has that little devil in them, an imp, if you will. So I guess when I was growing up and I was just trying to express myself, I was trying to find my voice, find myself. And so I was doing things that were always constantly at odds with normal thinking or reasoning. I didn't know it was bad then, but you reach a certain age, say you get to age 7, 8, 9, you think, maybe I should tone down on doing these things. So for me, in terms of being, defiant, I was stubborn, obstinate, willful, just bullheaded, refused to listen to anybody, refused to listen to the voice of reason. I always thought my way or no other way. And I was a crook, a thief. I helped myself with other people's, things. I even took that to the university. You understand? Not that I set out to steal, but I my first year in school, my first week actually, I had this nice pair of pants. They were the rave of the moon at the time. They're called second tier. Very nice pants. I paid a fortune for them. So I went to school first week. I washed them and then just I had them outside. And when I went back, they were gone. And I was like, seriously? These people don't know me. You're looking at trouble. Are you for real? Who steals from a thief? So I was like, I won't let this stand. So I went on a thieving spree, for years at school. I was steal somebody's sneakers, steal a wristwatch, still because I wanted to get back at whoever stole my pants. You understand? So it was that bad, that terrible. And my mom, identified this in me early. As you always say, it's not nice. I don't want you to end up, in the stakes. You could be, killed, burnt, or lynched. You have to stop this. And so that was one thing, like one character flaw I exhibited. I was a crook, and no apologies whatsoever. Because I would just pick, fight with my elder brother, I even my cousin, just for no reason. You just refuse to listen. And then if I ask, my mom for something and she refused, I would just go, why did you even give that to me in the first place? Why did you just let me go to Abiola, or one of the rich people? Why it was that bad. So I couldn't take, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. I wouldn't just do
So
that.
you wouldn't take no for an answer.
No, no.
As a parent now, and having friends that are raising children as well, and just seeing our children grow, I'm very interested in this topic of deviance children. So what are some specific tips you would like to share with parents that might be going through, raising children that are deviant, children that want to do whatever they want to do? Do you have tips, practical tips that you feel like maybe something, what could your mom have done differently or what could have helped you, have a better perspective at that time?
The first thing is you want to make sure you create a loving environment. You want to make sure that love is expressed in the home, and then they can see it. Because one thing to talk about, to say I love you, but there's nothing to express that love. It's when you really love him or her, they can see, they can feel it. And for me, the greatest gift that a parent can give a child is an expression of their, unfailing love. You just have to show them. I don't think it is to befriend them. Yeah, you have to draw a line between being a parent and being a friend. But heavy-handed parenting does not work. It will not.
Heavy-handed parenting does not work.
It didn't work with me because my dad was jealous with the weak. I mean, he would flog me, beat the living daylights out of me. My mom wouldn't spare me. It was one backhand after another. But it didn't work. If anything, it just toughened me, made me more defiant. At 10 years old, I wasn't sleeping in the house. I would just jump the fence and go sleep somewhere else because I was afraid of the whip. So it didn't work. So heavy-handed parenting it's a no-no. You don't want to do that. So befriend them, show them love. And one thing that kids really watch is about how you treat their mother. So if you're a man, how you treat their mother. It's very important. You have to show that you love your wife and get ready. Do things with her. My kids tell me all the time. When I'm snuggling up to my wife, they're like, oh, daddy, here he goes again. And I'm going, it's just we're just having fun. You understand? So the kids learn from their parents. That's why God put them.
Learn from their parents.
Learn from their parents. So you have to model the right behavior, what you want to see, in them. You have to walk the talk. Walk the talk and talk the talk. Talk the talk and walk the walk. You just say, I love you, and then no, they know it when you mean it. They can see it. So to everybody out there who's like battling with a defiant or deviant kid, just hang in there, friend them. Like I said, create a loving environment and talk to them. Kids respond to words.
Kids respond to words.
I'm telling you. And another thing that kids don't like is when you deprive them of attention. So my kids know me. If something wrong, I withdraw from them. It's the same way God treats us. When you sin against God, God withdraws from you because there's a barrier. And you don't like that because when you're home with your kids and they can't come to you and jump on you, then they know that something is wrong. Yes. So they want that. They crave that. They enjoy it when you fellowship with them. We spend time with them. So that's what you can do. You tell them there's a reward for good behavior. Okay, and then I'll spare the stick when you, of course, go out of line.
Wow. So children love attention. And I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't work in mental health. But one thing I do know is that everybody, kids, adults, middle age, old age, we all seek attention. And when people are deprived of attention, they tend to exhibit it in different ways. And one of the ways that people are telling other people that, you're denying me or depriving me of the attention that I deserve is by acting out. So deviant and stealing, lying, all the vices. And if parents are not careful, the thing can really, make the child go down the drain. So we're thankful for your life. We're thankful to God for your life and how you've turned out. Now, let's fast track a little bit to your secondary school and the point that you were about to transition from secondary school to the college, university. You wanted to study medicine, right? So that plan fell through. And you opted for studying physics. I'm surprised that you studied physics because I know you to be a writer. You write so well. You're very poetic. So I thought that you actually studied something in the literature line or art. Physics. And my question is, how did you handle that rejection or, let's say, disappointment? And what advice would you give to anyone in similar shoes?
Well, it was a bit of a fatal blow to me, to my ambitions. I felt crushed. I was crushed at the time because I always wanted to be a doctor. It's just something that it was in me. I mean, I was a kid. I just loved the uniform and loved the fact that I could help people. And so I sat for the college entrance exam the first time, and my score was dismal 235 out of 400. But when I took the exam, I got home and I was just telling my mom, my goodness, I did a lot of waters. I want to make like 380 or 390. And she was like, take it easy. Mom, you don't understand. In physics, I'm sure I'm going to get a 90. In chemistry, an 85. in English, trust me, 98. And then I gave myself all this, high score. And then went 235. So I was shocked. And I said, okay, maybe, well, let's give it another shot. So the next year I took the same exam and got the same score.
Wow. Same score?
The same score. And I said, how this cannot be. It's just not possible. But then my dad was in Maiduguri at the time. I was in Ibadan. Okay. Maiduguri was in northern Nigeria. And then my dad had a friend who was the provost of the College of Medicine, University of Maiduguri at the time. So the man told my dad to bring me over to the north, that I'll just spend a year, do sciences, general sciences, and then I'll go to med school. So I was like, wow, that's great. Wow, the pathway, to medical school has been paved for me. So I went to Maiduguri, spent a year, and then God will have it, the guy was transferred to University of Ibadan. So he left University of Maiduguri. So my dream just...
What university did you attend?
So University of Maiduguri at first, and then I ended up at Federal University of Yola. I know, University
of...
Yeah. So my dream of becoming a doctor took a nosedive because the man was transferred to, Ibadan. And that was why I ended. So at the time, it was like, what options do I have? I was like physics, chemistry, biology. And physics just had a nice ring to it. I just felt like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, who knows. So let's go for physics. So physics was an afterthought.
It was an afterthought.
I didn't really want to study physics. It was the last thing on my mind. But I just thought, maybe back to know about the first equation of motion, second equation of motion, and maybe at some point, maybe I'll find myself working at NASA. Who knows?
Well, that's a good dream. Wow. So you studied physics and you went all the way to northern Nigeria. That's amazing.
Yes, I was born in the north. I grew up in the north, so it was like.
Oh, you grew up in the north. Okay.
Yeah. Going back home.
All right. So, what tips would you like to give to anyone that might be going through rejection or disappointment?
So the first thing is that you should just believe in yourself, and if you look deep within yourself, you'll discover the things you're passionate about. So don't care what people are saying. I mean, they're telling you in order to try medicine or try this. It's all about what God has put in you. There's always something that is inside you that is begging for attention, that is crying out to the church. That's what you should focus on. So for me at the time, I thought it was, like you said, I've had people come to me and say, you're a good writer, you write very well. Did you study literature, journalism or something? I'm like, no, but you write well. Even when I was working in Nigeria, the CEO at the time was like, wow, you should be a lawyer, you should be this, you should be that. And I'm like, oh. And they walked up to me once, an English major. I said, I look forward to reading your emails, because when I read them, did you study English or something? I'm like, no, I did, but it's just inborn in me. You understand? So look for those areas where you excel. That could be the road to your future. And don't do what others are doing just because you feel like you can make more money, it's more lucrative. No, it's about how you can make the most impact while being satisfied at the same time. So look for that satisfying thing. It's always in everybody.
Wow, look for that satisfying thing. Yeah, I also wanted to become a doctor, and I found myself studying environmental management and toxicology. And for the first year in school, I was actually very bitter. I didn't like it. I wanted to get out. But looking back today, I would say that it was a blessing. And if I were to advise anyone, I'm hearing a lot of echo. If I'm to advise anyone, I'll definitely say that even if you find yourself in a place of rejection or disappointment, or maybe you're currently doing something you don't like, I would encourage you to definitely put your best, because you don't know what God is bringing out of that situation. So that's just my little addition to that. Now, let's talk about the interesting part. We're moving on to interesting stuff right now.
Oh, boy.
Failed the hurdles of being an undergraduate, and you eventually found yourself in the job market.
Oh boy!
As a physicist. And I'm not sure if you put an application through to NASA, but
no, not yet.
Not yet. But you got a job as a bus conductor and a commercial bus driver.
Lagos, yes.
What events led to that, and what was it like for you? I want you to describe it so that anyone that is watching you right now can understand where you've been, what you've been through, and where you are now.
So fresh out of college, I was excited at the prospects lay ahead. I was thinking to myself, okay, yes, what could I do with my degree? You're now a physicist. So what do you do other than teaching or working in a science lab? What else can you do? And I thought, not many options, but well, let's give it a shot. You can work anywhere in Nigeria. Could be a physicist and work in a bank. You could work in the oil industry.
Okay.
The demand for skilled people. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll work in another industry, Mobil, for instance, or Chevron. I mean, the big names in the oil sector in Nigeria. And so I came back to after my youth service, the mandatory 1 year youth program service. We went back home to Ibadan and was looking for a job. And then, of course, I searched high, I searched low. There was nothing on the horizon. And then a friend just, came to me and said, why don't you just come join in Lagos? I manage this transportation company for a friend. And if you don't mind, you just be a manager. That's the way he put it, manager. Might as well saying a company.
You're managing a bus.
Yeah, just manage. He didn't say boss, he just said a fleet of bosses. I said, okay, all right, so give it a shot. So I went to join him in Lagos, and then my first trip was we went to I think Ijebu from Lagos. And he told me that I would just tag along with the driver. I said, as what? He said, just tag along, just make sure that the driver doesn't misbehave.
I need to meet that person.
I'm thinking to myself, you mean, be a conductor? And he said, well, that's not, you're a conductor per se because you actually supervise the driver. It's funny, it was for an arrangement.
The driver is driving, but you're supervising the driver.
Yeah, you're telling him, just make sure you're doing well. But you're actually in charge of the driver, which is a very foreign arrangement because the driver is supposed to be, your boss. But here you are his boss, but you are a conductor, even though they call you manager, but you're a conductor. So that was what I did. And then after a while, I graduated to, the driver. The funny thing was, in Lagos, I would drive and people would go, there's something different about you. You're not just you're not a difficult driver. There's something about you because I was always well dressed. And they would go, so they would call me a professional driver, a professional conductor. Because I looked the part, and so I did that for about some months. Didn't like it, but we had to. But God was just trying to work on me because there were some things about me that He needed to correct. I was overly ambitious. I just thought I could just become the best at anything, but God just wanted me to stay humble. So He was trying to get my attention. I didn't know that at the time, so I did that for some time, and then it didn't work. And then, my pastor in church one day was just preaching, and he said, what about a career in teaching? And I felt that's an insult. Pastor, please teach, for God's sake. Are you for real? I mean, what kind of pastor are you? You should be pushing me to work in the oil industry or to work in a bank. Why teaching of all things? And he said, sometimes, God starts small with us, and then when we develop and I said, no, that's a lie, not because I said, God will place me, somewhere, big. And then
God is a big God.
He's a big God, so I should dream big dreams. So after a while, I went back. I went back home, and then for a week, that's what stayed with me. Why don't you try teaching? And I said, teaching of all things, my goodness, oh my God. All right, so reluctantly, I left home once, and I was just walking along the road, and I saw two schools across from each other. I went to the first one, and I said, I'm here to see there's an opening for a teacher. And they said, did you study education? And I said, no, we have a degree in physics. I said, no, we're looking for people who actually studied education. I was saying, well. So I just told God, you see, that didn't work out, so that means I'm not called to be a teacher. And as I was about to leave, the husband just said, why don't you try the other school? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll prove to you that they won't accept me. So I walked over, and when I got to the gate, the person I met at the gate used to be a very rich man. And so when he opened the gate, and I looked at him, I was like, my goodness, this is Chief Emodi. I know this man. Wealthy. What is he doing at the gate, man? So the man looked at me and said, how are you, young man? And he welcomed me with a smile. I'm fine, sir. What are you here from? I just came to see the doctor, and I said, well, you know how God works. And he began to talk like a, like a sage. You know how God works. When God wants to take you to the top, sometimes he starts you from, way, below.
He humbles you.
Yeah, and I'm going, yes, sir. So it was like a teaching moment for me. He was teaching me and telling me, well, the principal is about your age. She's nice. You guys are name. Why don't you go in and see if, So I went in, and then as I walked into the office, she was, writing, in a book, and then she didn't even look up. I looked at her, how are you, ma'am? My name is Olaleye. I'm looking for a job. She didn't even raise her head. Just said, I just look at the application, and then we'll get back to you if there's a need. That's all. That's all. So I left, and I just said to the spirit, you see, I've done my best. Now they don't want me. But 2 hours later, they sent a dispatcher to the house to say, can you come on an interview? And I'm like, seriously? So I went back, and they interviewed me on the spot, and I got the job, just like.
So you walked into the school,
Yes.
which I believe is an all-girls school.
All-girls school, yes.
And you presented your resume or your CV, whatever.
I didn't have a resume. It was just an application I wrote on the fly.
Wow. And then, you were called back for an interview.
Yes.
So I want to ask a question about your days as a bus driver or bus conductor or bus manager,
Boss executive.
Did you ever come across any of your old schoolmates while you were doing that?
My goodness. Thank you very much. So this happened at mile 2, and I was loading the bus. We were going to Oshodi. And of course I was doing Oshodi, okay. And then people were coming, the bus. And then I just looked and I saw a guy. I'm like, wow, this can't be happening. My schoolmate. And he was actually going to Oshodi. So he boarded the bus. And as he approached the bus and saw me, he was like, Mr. T. Because they used to call Mr. T in school. Because I was, a fashion icon. I was my famous. Mr. T. He was excited to see me. And he was the conductor. So I was like, Dimo, what's happening? And then, so he got on the bus. And then I stood and I froze. And I stopped, calling out to passengers. And the guy was like, Pero's not going now, my man, you want to go empty? And so I did, but I was very uncomfortable. And I was thinking to myself, wow. And by the way, this happened while I was still in school at the time. It was my last semester. I said, I'll go back to school, and this guy's going to go and tell everybody that, wow, I actually saw this guy working as a conductor in Lagos. Yeah, that explains where he gets the money to buy all these labels, all this.
This is unbelievable.
Oh my goodness! It was the most humbling experience.
Wow. Well, I still have some more questions for you about your work at that secondary school, but right now I want to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about all that happened in the secondary school and afterwards. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the SA Show. My name is Sean Akinlotan. I'm your moderator and host for today. If you are just joining us, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also remember to share this session with your friends. With me today is Mr. Richard Olaleye-Williams, and we're talking about overcoming rejection and going ahead to do great things right after. So I'm going to bring him back on and we're going to continue the conversation. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So now you got a job in this secondary school, which is or was an all-girls school.
Job I didn't want.
What did you say?
A job I didn't want at all.
I know. And how many years were you at this secondary school?
The longest 4 years of my life. The
longest 4 years of your life. Wow. Yes. I can imagine. So could you please shed more light as to, how you were able to scale through what happened? What made it the longest 4 years of your life?
Well, the first thing was I didn't want to be there at all. I just felt that, it was beneath me. I thought, I'm going to come on, Olaleye, of all places, a school, and make it paltry, less than $30 a month. Now how much I was making. So I was really not to make ends meet. And I was saying to myself, God, you love me, but this is not how you show love to your son. So why didn't you get me out of here? So for the first year, I struggled. I was always going to school late. I mean, I lived just about 500 yards from the school. It was walking distance, but I was always late to classes. And the principal, who was a Muslim at the time, one day she looked at me and said, "You're not going anywhere until God finishes his work with you." And I was like, "What did you just say?" It was like, God loves you and he has amazing plans for you. But until you get your fixed score, there are certain things he wants you to learn from this school. You're not going anywhere. You will remain here until you learn those lessons. And I said, wow, coming from a Muslim, wow. So I was like, so I went back home and I asked God for forgiveness. I said, I'm sorry. So I said, okay, I'll pour myself into the work. I know you sent me here for a reason. I know, Lord, just whatever it is, just reveal it to me, and I will be the best teacher that ever. So and that's what I did. So I went back to school, and then interestingly, girls will have cramps, and they will run to me, and they'll say, "Mr. Olaleye, it's that time of the month." And I'm going, "Okay, so what do you want to do?" And they said, "Look, can we pray?" And I was okay, let's hold hands, and I'll pray with them, and the cramps will go. Serious, a headache will disappear, and somebody has problems at home, and God will just intervene. And so God sent me there because he wanted me to do some things. And he wanted to work, to correct some things in me. Because I needed to be disciplined. Okay? I needed to learn the virtue of empathy or being empathetic. I needed to learn a lot of things. And so that school really helped me to mature as a Christian, to grow and mature as a Christian. So God was getting rid of excesses in my life. And I didn't know that at the time. But I was struggling, I was complaining, whining and moaning, and God was saying, no, until you get it, you're not going anywhere. And that was why I said it was the longest 4 years of my life. It was
wow. So while you were at that school, did you attempt to apply to other places? And I could imagine were you actively searching for a new job at that point, or you just settled yourself in there?
No, I'm at the point my elder brother came to see me, okay, and he was like, "Oh, are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "No, but you don't look okay. What are you still doing here? I mean, 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4 years, going on 4 years, you're still here. Don't you have ambitions?" And I'm like, I'm just waiting for God, waiting on him. When he's ready, he'll take me out of this place. That's what I said. So he felt I was being, foolish. But for me, I had settled within myself that, until God gives the word, I'm not leaving. And by the way, the principal who used to be Muslim became a Christian. They led to Christ, and a lot of people actually became Christians when I was in the school. Because God put me there as a beacon of light, beacon of hope. But I didn't know it. I was resisting, but God wanted to use me to touch lives.
When did you give your life to Christ?
A good 27 years ago, I think, 1994. Yeah.
So was it when you were a teacher at that school?
No, long before that. Long before then.
Okay.
I became a teacher at the school.
Okay. So light, as they say, is always at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yes.
Tell us about that beautiful job that you landed 4 years after you
Oh
were
boy.
teaching at school. How did it happen, and what lessons did you learn from that opportunity?
Oh my goodness. There's always in my career has also been about the God factor. The God factor. God steps in and sometimes he swoops in to rescue me. So I was at a job I was just doing well, I guess. And then one day I walked into class and I was about to teach a physics class. And the girls just stopped me and said, so wait a minute. So they pulled out a chair and asked me to sit on the chair. And I sat and I thought they were trying to pull a prank. I said, that's what they surrounded me. I said, Uncle. I said, yes, you don't belong here. That's what they said. You don't belong here. And I was like, what exactly he said? And he said, don't you have ambitions? Don't you want to get a job elsewhere? You don't belong here. We see you working in a big, like a bank, another company or something. I'm like, seriously? It was like it was a setup, but they were serious. And I said, don't you want to apply to other places? And I said, so I was like a child, And I said, I was listening to them. I was like, this can only be God. And they kept saying, Uncle, you don't belong here. Uncle, you don't belong here. And I said, so finally I looked at them and I said, I know, but I need help. And I said, because it was private school, and the parents were, well to do. Of course, we were talking about bank MDs, and I was like, maybe you could talk to your parents to help me. And they were like, okay, we'll see about that. But then, just occurred to me that my time was like coming to an end at school. So I know what the principal said. I want you to learn the lessons that God wants you to
To learn.
learn. So it was like God was telling me it's time to now leave the school. So okay, I said, okay, well, Lord, what do you want to do? So I was flipping through a newspaper one day, saw an ad in the paper about becoming a pilot in South Africa in 9 months.
Become
Pilot.
a pilot.
Yeah, I would say, wow, fancy me being a pilot. Whoa, wow, my goodness, I love that with my wings. So I said, okay. So I looked at the address and I was like, okay, that's somewhere in Lagos, Igoshere or something road. And I said, okay, maybe I should go there and just find out, more about the opportunity. So there was this naval officer who was very close, to me. But the parents, one of the girls in school, and he just, man loved me. So I said maybe I should reach out to him and ask him to help, sponsor me. So I went to see him and I showed him the ad and he said, oh, wow, this sounds interesting. Why don't you go find out the details and then we'll see what we can do. So I was like, oh, really excited. And finally, I got a pilot. And then so I went to Igoshere and then, of course, when I got into the office, the guy told me, you were looking at about ₦1 million or more for the program. That was a lot of money.
How much did you have at that time?
I had maybe 30 naira, less than $1. So when I
Wait. So you were looking for ₦1 million, but you had 30 naira.
I had 30 naira, yes.
1,000 naira or
1,000. So when the man told me, I said, there's no way I'm going to go back to the naval office and tell him 1 million because he's not my uncle, he's not my father, So I said, no, this cannot be happening. I won't go back. But then, as I was leaving, dejected, of course, disappointed, the Holy Spirit spoke again and said, remember I said I was a bus driver. I drove for a man, the man was the MD of an IT company, one of the biggest in Nigeria at the time, and still the biggest now. And so the Holy Spirit said, the man's office is just a stone throw away from where you are. Now, why did you go?
Location.
Yeah, why did you go and say hi to him? And I said, no, I won't go. I'm disappointed because when I worked for him, he told me that he would give me a job. He promised me. Even when I went for my youth service, he said, after your service here, you can come back and I'll give you a job. So, but he did fulfill his promise. So I said, no, I'm not going back there. So I said, no. And he was just said, the gentle spirit, just go and say hi to him. Go and say hi to him. I said, okay, look at LinkedIn. I'll just go and say hi. So I walked, to the office. And the moment I stepped in, his secretary looked at me and jumped out of her seat. Hi, Olaleye, where have you been? Oh, I've been looking for you. Like, you don't say. All right, I'm here now. So she ran into his office and said, oh, God, I was here. And then the man came out of the office, an MD came out of the office and said, hi, Olaleye, where have you been? I've been looking for you. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's go with that. So I walked into his office, sat down, and then he asked me, what have you been doing this past 2 years? And I said, I've been at school. I said, teach? I said, yes, sir. How much do you make? And I told him about $11 naira at the time. And
How much was it? What were you making?
No, actually, it was 3,000 naira, 3,005. But they started.
What was your salary? 3,500.
Yes, a month. They started me on 3,000. Because I even negotiated that with the.
And what year was this?
This was 1995. 1995.
All right.
So I even negotiated that amount with the waitress, and she was like, "Take it or leave it." And I said, "Look, I'll take it," because it was like, okay. So they increased it from 3,000 to 3,500 naira. And so when I told them about 3,500, they said, "What?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Wow." And then he told me something I will never forget. He said, "Your suffering ends today."
Amen.
He said, "Your suffering ends today." I'm like, wow, this God is just amazing. And he said, "I don't know." He said, "Just tell me about the school and what you do." I told him, I said, "Sounds like you and the principal are really close." He said, "Go to her and just ask her to release you."
To give you a person.
Yeah, just ask her. That's what exactly. Ask her to release you, to pray and release you, because I sense like you're very close and you've done a lot for the school. And then it doesn't matter how long it takes. Even if it takes 2 years, this job will still be waiting for you. I just need her to release you. And so I said, okay. I went back.
That's very wise.
I'm serious. And I went back, I told the principal, and she was like, "Didn't I tell you that when it's time, God will?" And I said, "Yes, you told me." I said, "I bless you. You can go." And that's how I left the school. I didn't have to apply. It was God who orchestrated all these events.
All the steps in the movement.
I started at an IT company. I didn't know what a mouse was when I started. I didn't know what a mouse was. So when the MD asked me, "Do you know what a mouse is?" I said, "Yeah, I see Mike all over the house." I mean, so I was like, "Is that serious?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Mouse." I mean, mouse now. And was like, "I'm serious." I didn't know how to use the computer. I didn't know anything about Microsoft Word or Excel. I didn't know anything. I learned on the job. That's how amazing God is. I learned on the job, and they were very patient with me. And in 3 months, I became a star employee at the company because God, knew it was time for me to move.
Wow. That is interesting. So you learned on the job. So you thought mouse was rats running around?
Yeah. That was my idea of mouse. I didn't know what he said mouse. I was like, "Mouse kid. What is this asking me?" And he said something. It's so interesting. He said, "Taiwo, you have negative experience. I've never yet had anybody use those words, like negative experience." And I said, "What do you mean, sir?" "Because you don't have anything we need. You don't have any skills we need." I was like, "Well, you're right, sir." But I said, "Don't worry, I'll still give you the job." I'm serious. I didn't interview for the job. He just gave me the job. And my salary went from 3,000, to about 18,000, just like that. And then in 3 months, like I said, in 3 months, I became a star employee. And then, of course, I began to grow and rise, and it was just phenomenal.
Wow. I'm going to read some of the comments from our audience. Rhoda Gabriel says, "This can only be God." And I quite agree. Tolu Lopez says that Jehovah El Arranger. Hallelujah.
Wow, the Arranger. Yes.
Hallelujah. And then Shakira says that God all the way. God all the way. It's amazing, this story that you just shared ordinarily. This is an extraordinary story, and there are a lot of lessons that are embedded in the story. And one thing that I would always say is the fact that wherever you find yourself, just humble yourself, because you don't know who is watching. People are watching you. People see the way you carry yourself, your demeanor, your attitude to work. And when God set time of favor, when it's your turn, it will surely remember you. People would remember you. People would remember how you treated them, how you made them feel. And when that opportunity is for you, it will truly, truly be for you. And from that moment on, I know that you enjoyed bliss. So now let's talk about your transition from Nigeria to the United States. How would you describe that transition? What was your first job? I think this is important, especially for those that are looking to relocate. And what would you like to share with new immigrants that are looking to land jobs?
Wow. So my first job. So we, immigrated in 2006, November, came into the country, fresh faced, didn't know, what to do. So for 2 months, I was home, of course, trying to get the paperwork ready. And then January, I landed a job as a flagger. The flagger, is someone who holds a flag.
So you found yourself back in the transportation industry.
Yeah, funny, yeah. But this time I wasn't a driver. I was a flagger. My job was to stand, in front of the parking lot, a huge lot, and then flag vehicles in. You flag them down and say, we have vacant spots for you.
So is this like a warden, traffic warden, or something like that?
Yeah, well, you basically just saying, we have this big lot, and I want you to park, in the lot for a fee. So you pay to park in the lot. So
okay.
You have to drive traffic, into the lot. So that's what the flagger does. So you hold the flag, your uniform, and funny story. So when they gave me my first set of uniform, and I went home, and my wife saw them, and the first time I dressed up and I was going to work, my wife couldn't contain herself. She just broke down in tears, and she cried for a good 30 minutes, saying, "God, is this what you brought us to the U.S. for? I mean, we're doing well in Nigeria. I have an official car, like I'm way to the top. And then my husband is a flagger. She just couldn't reconcile, and she was foolish. And so I picked her up and said, sweetheart, it's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. So I dressed in my nice bow tie, white shirt, with my waistcoat, and I'll go downtown, in the thick of winter, brave the elements, and then flag. And I thought that I'll do a dance to it, and I'm thinking, God, this offering has to come to an end someday. This offering must end. This offering must end. And then, of course, I didn't flag. I only flagged for maybe 4 days. I was flagging once, and then the man walked by, and he looked at me and just smiled, and I said hi, and then he went. I didn't know it was the manager of the company I work for. And he came back, and I was still standing in the same spot for about 2 hours. And it was really cold. It was frigid. And so he said, not bad. We don't want you to freeze in the cold. You can't freeze out here. Just go into the booth and warm up. I said, nobody told me that. He said, no, you're not supposed to just stand out all. I said, I didn't know. I was just doing my job. So he reported that to, management. And they were like, wow, such loyalty, such, diligence. And then when an opportunity came, they just was like, okay, do you want this? And I said, why not? So I moved up. I was a flagger, but in less than a year, I was promoted 3 times, And then I left and I worked at the airport for a while. I became a project manager at the airport. When I was working at the airport, I was still, of course, wearing my uniform. And then, of course, I'll be on my cell phone sometimes in the booth. And then so we will drive by and say, get off your phone. And I'll be like, oh my goodness. And then I'm sorry. And so when I, earned 3 promotions within a year, I became their boss. My supervisor, I became their boss. And they'd be like, how did this happen? They just couldn't, leave it down. That this guy was just a nobody, 6 months ago, but now he is our head. They couldn't understand that God's favor makes a difference.
God's favor makes a difference. And I would also say diligence makes you visible. It can, you need to stand out, and it attracts God's favor. So everything is, it's a two-way street. So you gave your diligence and you attracted God's favor. All right. Now you showed up at work. You weren't staying home praying, just praying.
I was keeping my toes and talking and saying, yeah, it's going to happen. No.
Yes. And I'm going to read some of the comments again. Shakira says, you can imagine, I have always believed in learning on the job.
Yes.
Olaleye says, Adunse biti Oluwa lowo si. Yes. God in all, absolutely. And she also says God's favor makes the difference. Absolutely. I so much believe in the favor of God. And I know that when God favors you, things become easier for you. Now, our time is fast spent, and I would actually love this conversation to keep going, but we have to, round up very soon. Okay. But I would like to ask you, because I know that you've gone through a lot in life, and it's not easy to provide that summary in 1 hour. But let me just ask you this. Knowing what you know today, what would you do differently as an 18-year-old man? And this question is very important to me because I believe that when we reflect on the past, it can give us cues and clues as to how we can lead better lives in the future. So I would like you to tell us what you would have done differently as an 18-year-old, because I asked a lot of parents to watch with their children, and I hope those children are listening right now so they can learn something from you. It's important that we as a community, we are impacting wisdom in our children, and our children are watching, they are watching us, and their future can only be bright if we teach them well. So you have the floor, sir.
Okay, so the first thing is I would have loved, well, at 18, there were so many opportunities, to find God, but for some reason I was just not ready. So at 18, I will advise everybody, even before you turn 18, I mean, you find God early. God makes a profound difference in your life when you find Him, when you know Him. So that's one advice I will want people to just take. That it's important that you get to do right with God, early on in life. There's no substitute for that. God first, always. The God factor cannot be, negotiated away. You cannot, discount it. The God factor. Number two is follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Be passionate. What are you passionate about? At 16, I wrote two books. Two books. They are not published. I still remember the titles. Security at Bay. Okay, look at security in Nigeria at the time. And then the dilemma we were in. Two books. I scribbled them down. My father picked up these two books. He finally read them. I thought, well, this is a treasure. And then he put them in his briefcase. So one day I was just, flipping through his book and I found the two books, neatly, but back then I was like, what is it? What is it to do with this? So I probably should have just published those books. I was going to have to just say that. What are you doing with my books? So I read the book. So I have, that I had that in me, but I did not publish those books. And I still haven't published any books now. So that's something. You're passionate about something, make sure you go for it. Make sure you go for it. Don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anything deter you. God put that gift in you for a reason. He wants you to impact your world with the gift He has given you. So at 18, make sure that you draw close to God. And
draw close to God and follow your passion.
Follow your passion. Trust me. Follow your passion.
Wow. Draw close to God and follow your passion. Don't let anything deter you. That's beautiful. You have someone here. Apparently, she knows you from way
Oh my goodness. Hey.
That's Korede Akinsome.
How are you?
Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much.
And it's a small world because Korede is actually my childhood friend. So
are you kidding me?
Yes,
wow. Yeah, I know she's from Abeokuta. Yeah, I know she's from Abeokuta. Yeah. Wow, Korede is so nice. Yeah, I'm humbled. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. And Shakira says she's watching with her kids. God bless you. And Tolu says, I am so grateful to God for your life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Olaleye-Williams, what else would you like to say before we call it a day?
All right. So one more thing. So success is not an end in itself. A lot of people attain success and they think that's it for me. I'm successful in my career, my vocation, and they think that's it. No. Beyond success is significance. So God wants you to be significant, not just successful. Because you're successful only to yourself, but when you're significant, you produce success in others. You birth success in others. And that's what Jesus Christ did. He was a successful leader, but he became significant when he called 12 people and he empowered them to go out and change the world. So as a leader, you don't want to stop at the point of being successful. You want to be significant. God told Abraham, I'll bless you, and then you'll be a blessing. So when you are successful, when you're blessed, you now rise to the level of being or becoming significant. That's very important.
Wow. So it's not enough to be successful, but take it to that next level of being significant where you can replicate that success in others. And I would like to rephrase everything you just said, that don't just be a tree, be a tree that also bears fruit.
Yes.
Wow. Awesome. And this has been a great session. Thank you once again for
Thank
accepting
you very
our
much.
invitation.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure and a delight to have you on board today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And until next time, we're going to go on a break, on a 3-week break. So we're coming back May 15th. So we're not hearing anything next week, the week of May 1st and May 8th. So we're coming back May 15th. So take note. And until next time, I would say be exceptional, be intentional, and be on point. Bye bye, everyone.